All right, so now we're all set. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is Wednesday, the 12th of February, 2025. It's 10 a.m. CET time. And this is our Values plus AI equals Impact session. And we are so happy that you could all join us for this morning. And what we just like to start with is everybody to give a brief introduction about what it is that you're interested in as far as AI is concerned and what values you see that we need to be bringing together with that. And once we have an idea of who's in the room and what you're interested in, then we'll think about a tool that we can share and then discuss how that tool could actually work and bring things together. And now Toral is joining us as well. Hi, Toral.
Hi.
Nice that you could join us. So,
yes, thank you.
So why don't we start with Charles, because Charles knows how this works.
I know how the sessions work. Yeah, so I'm keen to find out practical applications of AI. That's why I'm here, and obviously ones which are positive and helpful and beneficial, which I think is something that we often don't emphasize enough. And so I've been going to some of these sessions I've been going to all of the sessions with Rhonda, so I think I've probably exhausted my list of things that I want to. Well, I haven't actually. I'm keen on at the moment on finding tools that will help me or help content that I produce to become more to go into other languages easily, not just on social media, which is, you know, there's already tools there embedded in the social media platforms, but elsewhere with text and so on. So I'm hoping to do that, not necessarily in this session, but that's my current interest. I'm interested in lots of other tools that we might be talking about too.
Great, thank you. Angelina, would you like to tell something about who you are and what we can help you look at today?
Yes, thank you. I'm Angelina. I work at a private research institute, working with lots of people on different projects on very interesting topics. So I would appreciate the possibility to learn some new tools and how they can provide me better efficiency. And my mind is working quite fast, but still with these tools, I see that, they're of great help, but I feel overwhelmed with so many, and this is the moment, okay, where to start or what do you recommend? So that would be my position. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Angelina. Julie, why don't you go next?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Julie Thompson, and I work as a talent culture and inclusion consultant for the University of Derby. I'm less interested at the moment in tools. I really want to understand how AI will, it will look to change the way we operate as a university going forward. And I want to understand whether our values will need to change along with that. So that's really the purpose of being here today.
Okay, very wonderful. Great aspect to bring in. Thank you very much. Okay. Minal.
Hi everyone, my name is Meenal Kering. I'm based out of Pune, India. I'm a counseling psychologist, and I've always been on the fence with the usage and the acceptance of AI into our daily lives, and especially when it comes to values. So I'm still, along with Julie, it's more not really understanding the tools or how to use them yet, but it's the ethical implications, or, how we can still use AI to a certain extent without having to go against either our values or, see people around us do that.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Thank you, Mina. Toral, can you give us a little background about what you're here for?
Hi everyone. So I'm Toral and I'm from Mumbai, India. I'm a jewelry designer by profession. And the reason I am attending this meeting is I found the subject quite catchy. How can we use AI? Because I think we are into a generation that is using AI in every step of the way. At least I'm seeing in firms, companies, and schools also, they've begun to use it. And to be very honest, it's one of those very friendly way of, converting your docs, and it just makes your life easier. So here to really learn and using it further in how we can inculcate it into values education as well.
Mhm. Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
For those of you who haven't met me before, Rhonda Bowen, the reason I'm doing this is because I had a wonderful experience last year. I was at the United Nations AI for Good Summit in Geneva, Switzerland. And this was the 7th version of this. So this has been going on for a long time. I just hadn't known about it before, and had the opportunity to meet with many people who are saying we need to do things that make sure that AI is used for the right things in the world. And if you've watched the news the last couple of days, you know that Mr. Macron in France has set up this 2-day event, which was Monday and Tuesday, also about AI, and had invited lots of people. Mr. Guterres was there. Mr. Guterres was also there in Switzerland. And so for me, the thing is, it's like anything that if you know that it's starting, and as many of you have said, this is something we need to be doing, but we need to make sure that the alignment is there. And there is so much happening. I'll put some links in afterwards, and I'll also give you a chance to join our group so you'll be able to keep up. There's a website called There's an AI for That. When I started looking at it, I don't know, about a year ago, there were 13,000 tools in it. Now there are 29,000 tools in it. It's growing every single day. It's a huge development in our world. And for me personally, this is a wonderful time to be alive. We're in a very good place at the moment to be able to improve ourselves, improve our lives, and improve the world through things that we haven't had access to before. Mankind always does this. That's not anything new per se. But the question is, what can we be doing to make sure that this works? And so if you're interested, I'm going to just put things in the chat as we go along. I have a whole list of things here, but I only want to put in the ones that we actually talk about. So here is the link to There's an AI for That. And as I said, every time you go in, you will see the number is just increasing and increasing and increasing. But maybe for listening to what we've been hearing today, to help people get an idea of something and how it starts, one tool that I've used recently that has a lot of different applications, and we haven't talked about here in the group yet, is called Claude, as in the name Claude AI. And I'm going to just share my screen for a moment, and you will be able to take a look. And as I said, we're not doing this to give you everything you need to know about all the tools, but just to give you an overview. So this tool knows who I am because I was in here recently and did something. It works a lot like ChatGTP. If you've used that in the past, you can put in here, your question, whatever it is. But it also has other tools, for example, that you can upload a CSV, which would be like something where you can also work with data if that's what you're interested in. And maybe, Julie, you being in a university, that is something. It remembers things that I've done. And this, I always show the free plan. You don't have to pay money to use it at this level. Most plans have a free plan, and then you can pay for extended uses on that. But who would like to just go off mute and give us a question, just so we can watch how it works? Just anybody who would like to just turn on your mic and give us a question, and I'll type it in and we can watch.
How will organizational values change to accommodate AI?
So we put that in. and we watch what happens. Notice it says I, so it's acting like a person, if you will. And somebody mentioned before how quickly these things happen. You see how many different points it has come up with. I'm not going to read all the points. That's not the point of the exercise, but to show you at the end, this one actually talks back to you and asks you a question. So it's saying, all right, what aspects do you think will be most challenged by AI? And you can put an answer in here and it will continue to have the conversation with you, for example. So the nice thing, I've seen this with others. I'm going to stop sharing just for a moment so I can see you all again. I've seen people actually you can also talk to these things, talk to an AI and have it coach him in dialogue back and forth, for example. So there are many, many things that, we could be looking at to see how that works. I'm going to put Claude in the chat so you will be able to use it. And so when you see something now like this, we'll go on with the important part of the discussion for you, which is what is actually happening. How do you see this working with the values? Because that's what we're really here to talk about. As I said, we just do one tool as an opening to see that, but tell us now about what you're seeing with values and how that should be working, because people will be able to see this recording, but we also have an online platform where we can continue the conversation. We'll talk about that a little more at the end. So who has some ideas from seeing what Claude has said? What do you see as the things that are happening with values as far as a tool like Claude or another one? Just go ahead and unmute yourself.
I don't see, if I can kick off, I don't see values actually being changed by AI, but clearly, and I think we picked it up from reading very quickly some of the answers that Claude was posting there. I think the way that we put those values into action may well change. I mean, will clearly change. They change with every different context. Some of the points made there, again, having read it very, very quickly, about transparency, trust, I think was in there, or words along those lines, and openness, and so on and so on. I think so. It raises obvious issues, and we'll apply our values in a different way. But I don't think it's fundamentally different, is it? I think what it can help is the way that we put, or what it can affect, positively and negatively, is the way we put those values into action, and the obstacles to putting those values into action. I would think. I mean, so that's a very plain and basic point, really.
Okay, thank you, Charles. Ladies, other ideas? Julie, what did you think about the answer? Since it was your question, we should definitely come back to you.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I think so I look at our values in the university. We have 4 values. We have value people, bold, future focused, and brilliance. There are 4 values. Future focused for me, I feel, is one that fits in with things like AI, because as we change and move forward and we progress, future focus will always be a part of what we do. My thing is, how do we safeguard against AI? And I take on board what you said, Charles, about you don't see that values will need to change because of AI. And I'm not saying that they will. I'm just trying to understand if they will. If that makes sense, because do we need to be thinking more broadly about, because although we have 4 values that are just, a few words, that what sits beneath that is, I guess, is where I'm coming from. And so if I'm thinking future focused, how does AI fit in with future focus, and how does that change how our culture, because our values and culture go hand in hand. So that's really what I'm trying to understand.
Good. Thank you, Julie. I'll say something about that in a moment, but I want to give the rest of the ladies an opportunity to put in their comments first. Anything you want to say, Angelina?
No, please.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right. Yes, Minal.
I think without us realizing it, I think values do change when we increasingly use an AI tool. I've seen that with young students. And you want to do it on your own, you think it's your content, but you've already taken half of it, say, from an AI tool, and you've taken help. So the whole aspect of trust and transparency, and they're not doing it intentionally actually at times, but they're so used to a Google Gemini or a Chat GPT, so they just put in their question and you can get ready-made sheets and presentations. And so how do you actually be more aware and draw the line and say, this isn't my content? So either I share it with the professors, or I just take the gist of it and make it my own. So I think inadvertently we do kind of come with, in contrast with what we think our values are in terms of alignment and execution.
I'm just taking some notes. Thank you. Toral, was there anything you wanted to add?
I think I second that what Meenal just said, because I have two children who are going to secondary school as well. And I see that when they get a topic to do a project, or they have to work on a certain assignment, they do take help of chat. I think they find it very convenient. They do say that we're going to translate it into our own words and then put it up, because obviously even teachers today are using AI. And it has helped them. It has helped them explain to students in class. But again, I feel then we are not using much of our minds or brain, if I may call it, to get the facts out, to actually research. We used to go in our times, used to go to the library, open a book, research, and that is something we are losing. And maybe I'm old school, but I'm not comfortable with that. So how are we going to bring that mix of using AI where we should, and still, keep in touch with our, roots, our way of using our mind and our brain in the way that it doesn't get punctured when we really need to use it and we don't have internet. Yeah.
Well, that's a wonderful question. And an example that I always use was many years ago when I had my first car with a GPS navigation system in it. Something happened to the system and it broke down, and I called my car dealer and he said, oh, well, I didn't put that system in myself. I let another company put that in, and the closest office to yours is in this and that place. And it was about a 45-minute drive. And I said, okay, and you have the address? And he was talking to me on the phone. This was a long time ago. And he said, yeah. And he gave me the address. And then he said, but how are you going to get there if your system isn't working? I said, well, you and I are about the same age. We both remember what it means to take a map out of paper and hold it in our hands and, open it up and drive with the map. I said, I have a map of that city. I will get there. And I got there with the map. And when I got there with the map, then they fixed my system. When I drove home, I could use the system again. The thing is, how many people are born in this world now who have never had a paper map in their hands?
Many.
But they all still get to wherever they're going. The question is, what happens when the phone doesn't work that they're using maybe to go someplace or whatever? And so for me, I'm not always looking at, is this taking over our world, but what are we doing to make sure there's always a plan B? And in the good old days when we had books at the library and we had maps out of paper and all those kinds of things. We had a way to do things without digital, electronic, whatever devices they were. And a lot of young people, we have a friend, her godchild came to her one day and said, "Today we learned about encyclopedias in school. Have you ever looked at an encyclopedia?" And she said, "Yeah, I have one." "Oh, you have books to look stuff up?"
Absolutely.
No idea. Okay. So what I think we're going through, all of us who are slightly older, I definitely put myself in that category, know that there's a way to do these things in another way, but there are lots of people in the world who don't know how to do those things in that way. And the same for me when I talk to young people and they say, "But Rhonda, that's easy, just do this and this." And I think the value part of that is not how do we do it, but if you think back to your grandparents or your parents and the way they did things and the way you do things now, there were also big differences, I assume. Yeah, at least in my case there was. And so the question is that a change in our values or is that a change in the modus operandi? And for me, it's a modal change, but I don't know if that is necessarily also a values exchange. And I mean, this is a wonderful thing for us to talk about because, in my opinion, you can change the way you do something without changing the reason for doing it, meaning the value underneath. And I think to get that aligned, to go back to what Julie was saying, if your university says they want to be future focused as a value, which I want, it's a wonderful value. I would think a lot of universities are not as far as yours. Congratulations on that. But the question is, what does that mean, future focused? And what do we take from the past? And what do we not? And maybe that's part of the question that we should be looking at as well. Thoughts on that? Yeah, Angelina.
I can relate with what you're saying, seeing, you know, the changes. So I'm maybe not that old, but still, the transition was there, you know, without any electronics, no mobile phone and all that came. So in Macedonia came a little bit later. So, but however, I see these apps as tools. So my approach to them is it's a tool that will help me. So I have my ideas, I have my thinking still, you know, and I use them as tools to support in the process. Now, the challenge, and there is a danger if they're not treated as tools, where they are substituting our capacities to think, to act. Here is the danger. So as we're also creating training materials, you know, would be a challenge for teachers in a sense to recreate the way we give assignments, we give tests, what is there, you know, to learn, to memorize, or you can Google or you can find information for that. But this opportunity, the type of activities where they actually would think with their heads. So we can have information available, research done in a very short time, but still it's, you know, what would, yeah, and this is very much connected to the values, the decisions, yeah, the mental scope that we have. But there is a danger, definitely, because I used to also memorize many things and remember. Now, because of the phone and all this availability, I even don't know my children's number on the telephone. So we are not using our brain, definitely. So this is I would say, the approach that we should look into.
I think I agree. I think our attitudes to our skills are in danger of atrophying. Our ability to discriminate, to tell what is true from what is not true, are in danger of weakening severely, or maybe even disappearing if we're not careful. If we hand over agency to AI tools, which may feed us misinformation. It doesn't, not even misinformation. They may have a different attitude. They may have a different conception of what is true and what is not, what is accurate, what is not. They may feed in really opinions all facts are in the context of somebody's opinion, someone's views. There are very few facts which are absolutely objective. And so I think that's the danger. So for me, one of my values is truth. And I can see how that might be a lot more important for me going forward, and maybe for other people too. So maybe it's the prioritization of values, if you like, the values that are more important to you will change somewhat. Because if people can't tell what is true, because they're not used to assessing information, discriminating between good information and poor information, the truth and inaccuracy, falsehood, lies, then truth is going to be a very strong value, I think, for us in the future. I'm not sure. So I think in that way our values could change. I mean, that's just one example, of course, but that seems to be one obvious example. Julie, I'm sorry.
That's okay, Charles. I was just going to agree with Angelina. I think that there is a danger for over-reliance on AI and stunting our thinking. And the whole purpose of students attending university or schools is to help and expand that knowledge, and and for them to grow. And is there a danger, therefore, of AI limiting and stunting that growth? And if that is a risk, then how do we mitigate against that risk?
Thank you very much, ladies. And one gentleman. This is a wonderful conversation. I'm just looking at my clock and seeing that we had said this is a half-hour meeting. I always have extra time. If you have time and we can stay, that's absolutely no problem. If you need to leave, we understand that, because this was set up for a half an hour. But if you'd like to stay, I have one thing I'd like to show you. A request was made last month in a session that we put something in our system to make sure that people can find out about new tools and also add new tools. And last time, somebody showed us a tool for the first time that I had also never seen. And also a way for us to keep in contact with members and see what people are willing to share and what things they are looking for to help themselves. And so I have asked the lady in our company who does operations to set up something for us so that we would be able to see how these things work. And it's not finished yet, but I just wanted to give you an idea and just show you what we've started to see if you have any extra insights you'd like to share. So this is a database system called BaseRow. And Anka has set up two things for us. First of all, a tools section, we're calling it, where we are coming up with the names of what kind of tools and what they should do. So we came up with tools to make presentations, tools to make videos, tools to help us with writing. And we've put in one just to let you know, Gamma is the tool that will help you make presentations. And you could also put notes here. And so what we're thinking is having this as a database where you can add things, or you can go and look for things and filter and say, I'm looking for presentations. And there are lots and lots of presentations tools on the market, for example. So you could go in and you would get the links and you would be able to go and check on those tools yourself. All right, so that's the first thing that we've set up in BaseRow. The other thing we set up is here members of the group. So we've set up names of people. This is just testing at the moment, and putting in what you can offer in categories, what you're looking for, and any other notes and contact information you would like to have. And there is a form that you would fill in that would give you all of these things, and you'd be able to put those in. I am not the system lady in my company. Anka will be doing that, but I will be putting a link in the chat where you can then join our online community. And if you have additional things you would like to have added to those, we are gathering those things today, and then we will be uploading this to the platform so that everybody can go in and have a chance to interact with each other, and also have a chance to get more information on the tools. And not only the tools that we talk about here in our sessions or the tools that I personally have found out about, but anybody can then come in and add things to that list. So what I'm going to put in the chat at the moment is just the place where we have our group, where if you join, and some people here are already in that group, which is great. If you join the group, it's just a place for us to talk. It's like Facebook. It's on what's called a Mighty Network. This is a service that I pay for. You will not get any scamming messages, or nobody's taking your data or anything like that. But if you click on this link and you join this organization in here, we have a special place just for people from this group. And you will then get access to the database that I just showed you after we finish putting things together. And you can always go in and ask for additional things you would like to have put in the database if you'd like. So that's the improvement that we're working on based on the input that we got last month. If you ladies, and Charles, you can always give more input, but if you ladies have anything, questions you have or things you'd like us to work on, we're definitely writing those things down and working on them as they're coming through. And so that was the first thing that we're now adding to the group. Every time when you're in the group, you get the recordings. Tomorrow, the recordings will go up so that not only our session, but the other two sessions today, since you don't probably have time to come to all three of them, you can go in and see everything. And there's also a place like in Facebook where there are feeds and you can go in and ask questions and interact with each other between the second Wednesdays of the month when we meet. Okay, does anybody have any good ideas they'd like to add or any questions at the moment? I know it's a lot and it's only
Not at
30
the
minutes.
moment.
Julie, yeah. Julie?
No, I was just saying not at the moment. Thank
Okay.
you.
This is work in progress. Obviously, we just started in December, so we're still building up, and we're so happy you're here to help us do that. Okay.
Right.
And
No,
maybe,
thank you. It was quite insightful to attend the first meeting where, I feel I'm not in the, I'm not alone, and we're in the same boat here, trying to balance AI with the life we've lived. But I think it's important to know AI tools. It's as important to know because you're going to have to address young adults. You're going to have to address people around you that are already using it, and you can't be dumbfounded either. So, we need to be in the know. We need to have those quick access and not waste a lot of time figuring things out. So, really would like to know some quick tips and tricks which we can use when we are using. I don't think we are literally losing values here, but we could build, if you see the brighter side, we could build values by using AI and, use the value of cooperation and honesty and just make sure that, okay, if I'm using AI, I am going to be honest. I've used AI for the project. And if I, maybe another project or another research, I'll do it by myself. So alternate that kind, and then we keep a balance that way. That's it.
thank you, Tohan.
Thanks.
All right. Any other thoughts before we close the shop today for the first time? And as I said, tomorrow you'll be I will be sending an email with all the links again to Compolium plus to anything else that came out so that you'll be involved in all of the 3 sessions that happened today. Even if you can't attend them all, that's fine. We really appreciate you coming and spending time with us. Charles, any closing words from your side?
I think, this is evolving. As you say, we only started, well, when I say you, really, because I just come along for the ride a little bit, but we've only started these in December. Well, we had a forerunner in October. And this series, I think, is building an interesting momentum, and each session is rather different. This session, we're actually exploring the core purpose of these sessions, which is values and AI, how AI can have a positive impact on our awareness and practice of values. I think that's very, very important, alongside which the practical exploration is very important too. What values actually, what AI tools actually can help us in a practical sense. So I think both of those things are very much interrelated and very important, hand in hand, going ahead.
Wonderful.
So thank you very much, Rhonda.
Well, thank you again all for attending. We really appreciate that. As I said, tomorrow you'll be getting an email where you will have everything in there with all the links and everything, and maybe some other great ideas that come up in the other two sessions later today. I'll put a summary in there. And as I said, you'll be invited again to Compolium, so you can have the chance to come in and share your things even during the times when we're not in a live meeting as we are today. And looking forward to more great interactions with all of you ladies. Okay.
Thank you both. Thank you,
All right.
Rhonda. Thank you,
All right.
girls.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
very much.
Nice to see you, everyone.
Thanks, Rhonda.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Thanks, Minal, Tora.
Thank you. Thank
Rhonda.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Minal.
Bye, Charles.
See you.